guys, and welcome to Ep.Six of the Welsh B Show. And joining me today is the voice of the Caira, the former stadium announcer for Wrexham AFC, Steve Jones. Steve, thank you for joining me.
Afternoon, Carl. Pleasure to be with you.
Okay, well, we'll see how you feel at the end, Joey. But
it'll be fine, I'm sure.
Yeah. So how long have you been the announcer for?
I would say roughly about 2006. Steve Marriott took over from my late father around about 2000, 2001. When Steve decided to step back due to, well, he had an illness and he decided to upgrade his family commitments. That's when I stepped in. At the time, I was doing the scoreboard, one of the many roles I've filled. So Steve retired and I took over then.
And when did your dad start the job?
We can't get an actual date on it, but I get a feeling it's around the early 70s, sort of 71, 72. He was a semi-professional musician, and the guy who was the first announcer on the ground was a guy called Colin Holt, who was a singer. And he did some singing with my dad on and off. And anyway, he rang my dad one day and said, "Look, Dad, I've had the opportunity of a lifetime to go onto the ships to do some singing. Do you mind covering the racecourse for me? It'll only be for a while. Won't be for long. Not a problem, Colin. I'll do that for you." 30 years later, he retired.
And so, do you have any sort of pre-game rituals? Did you have any coaching before you took up the role?
No. I was a mobile DJ from the age of 15 onwards, so I was always using my mouth anyway.
Yeah, and you have the confidence then, and the sort of
and of course it's in the genes as well, really, isn't it? I've always been a confident person, so it wasn't a problem. The only problem I had, the first game that I had running solo, if you like, was in the, I think it was the Winners' Cup or something. Petrol Ploesti.
Oh God.
They had names like Countdown Conundrums.
And that was your first game. Yeah, that was a difficult one to start with.
That was a baptism of fire. Fortunately, at the time, the BBC used to cover the games, and they always sent a phonetics expert, so they could break it down for you on how to say it.
Yeah, and you've had none of that before or since, no? No kind of coaching like that before or since?
No.
But that's hitting the ground running, isn't it? That's what you need sometimes. Get stuck in, get on with it. How do you deal with criticism? Did you get much stick? Do you notice it?
No. Shoulders abroad.
Yeah. You just got to sort of crack on.
What I found, I did an interview with Kings on Dragon Night years ago. And I did have a little spell where I was dipping into red passion. And some of it was a bit vitriolic, and it was getting a bit to me a bit. And I thought, well, if you don't read it, you don't know it's there, do you?
That's the thing, yeah.
You know, I just stopped reading it.
I think that's the best way to deal with it, really.
You know,
because I know people have opinions, but some people can be a bit too harsh. You know, thankfully, doing these, I get less stick than I deserve, so I don't know what's going on there.
Well, to be honest, we're all entitled to our opinion.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But when you start making it personal, that's one step beyond for me. Plus, the other thing I found with the criticism thing, a lot of people are like sheep. They'll just jump on anyway. Half of them don't even know where the racecourse is. They'll just jump on it anyway. You know, if I was sat next to them, they wouldn't know who I was.
But obviously, you're still, I think, on the whole, a popular figure. And I think a lot of people are disappointed that you're not in the job now when you've left the club. And, you know, I know you don't perhaps go into too much detail. It's quite sort of an emotional situation for you, an issue. But is there any way of repairing this relationship? Can you think you can build any bridges?
No, it's sunk.
That bad, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. When you walk into a room and you're dismissed before you open your mouth, you know you haven't got a leg to stand on. It's impossible.
And you weren't expecting it, no?
No. Every HR rule in the book was broken. I wasn't told it was a disciplinary. I wasn't invited to take anybody in with me. And the opening game gambit, if you like, was why I was here. And the person chaired in the meeting said, if I'd have had your postal address, I'd have sacked you by post.
Well, that doesn't sound like, I don't know the circumstances, but that doesn't sound like the correct process has been followed.
No process at all. No process at all. Unfortunately, I took advice and I was told because I didn't have a contract, I didn't have a leg to stand on. And I've since found out I had inferred rights, having been there for 51 years connected, by which time I found out it was too late. Personal opinion only. Yeah. I feel the regime there do not want anybody in the club with history.
You think so?
That's my personal opinion.
Stories. They've obviously, well, when the mission statement was to uphold the traditions and values, connect with the community. I think they've done that to a certain extent, but they do have a way of upsetting the fans with strange decisions, like this latest ticketing situation where they put 3 lots of games on sale at once just after Christmas. So, and I've heard stories that some people are not as welcome as they used to be. Again, that's only rumours.
Well, that ticketing one for me was an absolute farce. A bit like the Black Friday. That was another one. Say, for instance, I'd bought a 4 walls ticket with fan zone. It was going to cost me 32 quid. Now, down to the Black Friday, I could be sitting next to somebody who's bought the same ticket at a grossly discounted rate. That can't be right, surely.
No.
There's been so many faux pas. The communication is atrocious. I still speak to people within the club and tell me it's no better than it ever was. A lot of stuff is assumed. You're there, you do it, and then why did you do that? Well, you haven't told me any different.
Are you talking out since the takeover, or has it always been that way?
Yeah, no,
since the takeover, there's a big change happened.
Yeah, I'll give you the clue. First game after the takeover. Now, bearing in mind, for 20 years, I've gone. We used to meet up in the music room, which is up in the Macron stand. I go across to the office side. I go into the office, pick up 3 team sheets for us from Geraint, and off we go. I walked in the office, Fleur's standing there. Who the hell are you? Get out. I've come for team sheets. I'll say it again. Who the hell are you? Get out. You shouldn't be in here.
Did you met her before then, or
no? That was the introduction to the new CEO for me.
Well, welcome to Wrexham. But
yeah,
but that's disappointing to hear. But yeah, I think some of this, is there sort of their approach to be expected in certain ways because of the changing situation at the club now?
If they want to change things, that's fine, but at least have the decency to cascade the information to the people who need it. You know, half an hour after that incident, I'm then collared by the security chief. Can't remember his name. You've dropped me right in it. You've made me look a right because and I just said, well, there's one bit of information we're missing here. What's that? I didn't know any different.
So you've done what you've always done, basically.
I've done that for 20 years.
Yeah.
But nobody's told me not to do it.
And what was the issue? What was the problem with it? Well,
I shouldn't be in there. That was the excuse. Pre-takeover, I had AAA access. I could go anywhere. It got to the point I couldn't go down the tunnel to use the conveniences.
Really? No, that happened to other members of staff who were.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just me. There were others as well.
And then you said that was the first game after the
very first game.
So it just happened immediately.
Immediately. No cascade of information. No, who was doing what, why, and whatever. No, nothing. Disappointing to say the very least.
The right way to behave towards people who've been at the club so long, and you work. Doesn't matter how long you've been at the club. You don't speak to your colleagues and staff like that.
No, you know, when you're blindsided, sometimes you just haven't got an answer.
Was there an explanation for it? Was there any apology? Was there any feedback?
No.
And did you speak to her again after that?
No.
See her again?
I spoke. I saw her many times. I never said a word to her. She never said a word to me.
Because she sort of came with a good reputation, having done so well at her father's club, Burton. And you're kind of seeing, or did she go somewhere else after that? She went somewhere else, didn't she? Where was she as well?
No, she came from Burton to us and went back to Burton when her dad retired.
She worked somewhere else at one stage, I think, maybe before, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. But
I don't know. I wouldn't argue with you.
She came with a good reputation, though, and someone that they try to put professional people into the club with experience, because these guys didn't know anything. And you thought, well, they're signing the right people, they're employing the right people that are going to manage the football side of it, the business side of it. And as they've done, Rob and Ryan handled the promotion, the publicity.
Yep, no problems with that at all. For years and years, and I don't know whether it's any different now. Geraint's never had a pair of hands to help him. I don't know whether he has now. He never has had. The ticketing staff, Matt and Dan, they were got rid of pretty quickly. Yeah, there's 8 of them now, where it was Matt and Dan for years. Yes, things needed changing. No problem with that one at all. But if you're going to change things, cascade it to the people who are there.
Yeah.
There's
a process to do things, isn't there?
That's called professionalism, I think.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's human decency sometimes. Well, it is human decency. You treat people polite, you respect people.
Well, I've always worked with I'll treat people the way they would want to be treated, and I would expect that back in return. And I don't think it's much to ask.
But there are rumours of this behaviour, and it's a shame that's happened. You do get rumours that people are behaving like this. It's with other people as well who've come on board, because there's a lot of people now employed by the club on a direct basis and in those positions, CEOs, etc. Are you seeing that across the board, or just certain individuals?
There are individuals in there who are just not nice people.
Yeah. Who've come recently.
Yeah. Yeah. The person who dealt with me wasn't Fleur, and I'm not the only one who's saying this. She is just not a nice person at all. She is just a piece of work there to do a job.
Yeah, that's sad to hear. That's really sad to hear. And you think people will be treated a lot better, especially with the mission statement they put out and this mission to respect the values, traditions, and they understand the type of club Wrexham is. All clubs are connected to the community, but this has been a smaller club in trouble. The fan base, the catchment area, there's a deeper connection with the community than most.
I said to various people before I left and after I left, I just wonder how much Rob and Ryan actually know is going on, whether they're just told what they need to know.
Well, I've always said I don't think they'd be happy. What they've led us to believe, they would not be happy with certain things going on.
No, I'm not including myself in that one. But there's other stuff going on. I'm sure they don't know the half. It's told what they need to know.
But how does this? Because you obviously been there when your dad was in the role. I'm sure you had access then. You were able to go behind the scenes, perhaps, and have a bit more insight. Well, so you've probably seen the club at its worst and best. How does this situation compare to, say, the Hamilton years?
Oh, the Hamilton years were horrendous. Yeah. Absolutely horrendous. I've seen arguments going on in the tunnel. I'm not playing because you haven't paid me. And you're under contract, you'll play. Well, no, I'm under contract for you to get paid. And you're not paying, I ain't playing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm putting myself up for transfer. I'm not playing out there without being paid. I could get injured and my career could be finished. So it was so hand to mouth and so underhanded.
Yeah, that was my little very dark days. Yeah. Was that Gutterman as well? Were they both in it together? Because it was a very, very complex situation where very devious goings on, wasn't it?
I couldn't believe that Gutterman was allowed within, to be honest, coming from his dealings with Chester. It's a well-known fact in Chester he was seen walking out with bags of cash in his pocket. My brother-in-law's a season ticket holder with Chester for 40 years, and he said, I can't believe that you've got that, the gutter snipe, they called him actually in Chester. He said, I can't believe you've let him in. The man's just wrong. Just a crook.
Yeah, and what, like I said, what a period, the club, you're going under, the ground almost being sold.
Well,
that would have been devastating.
If it wasn't for Pembo and all the others, it would be a B&Q now.
Yeah, utterly ridiculous. But then the trust years obviously would have been difficult financially. But was it a more enjoyable experience? I would imagine.
Oh yeah,
Togetherness, camaraderie.
Yeah,
better run, more honest.
More honest, all pulling in the one direction.
Yeah.
That was the point. I was sometimes paid, sometimes not, pre-trust, and then once the trust took over, I said, "Look, I will volunteer." So that was that, and we had a pre-match meeting before every game. Who was doing what and why, and what was going on? It was fantastic, superb, just the way it should be. In that, you'd have the safety guys, you'd have the first aid guys, you'd have the stewards. Spencer was running it. Right, you're doing that. We're doing this. There's an interview with so and so at half time. There's a presentation for this. Absolutely spot on. You knew where you were, and that was the way it should be. I
think financially it was run very well. Perhaps the money wasn't there for the signings the fans wanted, and eventually, there's a struggle to get out of the National League, non-league football. You want the big signings, you want the owners to the investment. It wasn't there, but it was run properly.
Well, you couldn't put yourself. The trust took over the debt, which had to be paid back, obviously. So there's no point putting you back into debt just to chase getting out of the National League. We all wanted it, we all knew that, but it had to be done within the financial restraints that were on. And we all should fully understand that.
And it almost happened, really, didn't it? There was a couple of moments where it could have happened, and maybe should have.
No, would have, could have, should have. Yeah.
The famous words.
One touch at Wembley when it would have been different. The Newport game, Big Dave Artelli, he'd been faultless for us all the time he played. One little slip at Wembley and it's 1-1, and that was it. Then it was game over.
But that was the last, I think, when Morel left. That was the last probably really solid team, I think, for a while. Stability. When Morel left, there was a lot of changing of managers. How did you experience some of those? What was your thought?
I thought we were too quick to pull the trigger at times. There were some wrong appointments, don't get me wrong. I felt sorry for Jos. He was never a man for the job. No disrespect to the lad, he's a lovely lad. But the job was just too big for him. Sam Ricketts, nobody saw that coming. I do believe, given the time, I think Sam could have done it. His professionalism and the way he installed his beliefs into the squad, it was starting to look really, really good. But unfortunately, he had his head turned, and the rest is history, we shall say.
But they've always done well with managers. They've always had some big names, and they've always managed to attract quality man. Dennis Smith.
Well, I felt so sorry for Dennis when he left. Oh, couldn't believe it. The guys worked for 18 months with no contract, moved into Wrexham, and then they go and do that to him. Oh, I'm sorry, but that was just wrong. And a gentleman as well. Absolute gentleman.
Yeah. I mean, he goes down as one of the greats, I think, of recent times.
Without doubt.
When they were you confident Parky would do well? Were you a fan of Parky when he was elsewhere? He obviously had his moments of success.
In the early days, what do we say? This isn't the answer. No. We all saw the beginning wasn't good. But once he got his beliefs into the team and things started looking better, I think, things are looking good here. Obviously, the signings started coming in then. Well, if you bring in players like that into the National League, you're only going one way. You're bringing in the likes of Moles. You're banging goals for fun up 2 leagues higher before. He's always going to score goals in the National League. He'll score goals again. There's no doubt about that. His natural ability is unbelievable.
Yeah, there's some discussion there. Have the injuries taken their toll?
Could be. Confidence, I think, is a bit low at the minute. He should be getting some confidence back after that strike the other week.
Lovely, was there? Right, I was right behind that. Absolutely lovely.
What a finish! He needed that. He really needed that. He just needs. He needs a couple that Dixie was famous for. One off his backside, one off his elbow, one off the back of his head, just to get the figures up, and he'll be fine.
I was going to ask you this: who would you prefer? Who was better?
For out and out goals, you got to go Benno, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, Dixie was the old-fashioned centre forward. We don't get that anymore. Phenomenal player and a phenomenal team. I was a ball boy during those days.
Okay.
So I was seeing it close up, and some of the football that 77, 78 side played was a dream.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How does this compare to? Because that was probably the last major success. I mean, there's been a few over the years. I think 78, probably 2003. I know there was a promotion winning. There's relegation in there as well, but Dennis Smith was very successful. It's had a couple of moments. How does this compare with 78? In terms of the team, the excitement, the talent.
Talent-wise, I don't think there's much difference, to be honest. When you look at that 77, 78 side, a dying goal, fantastic goalkeeper. Mickey Thomas in the middle, the mercurial Mickey Thomas. Shinner on one side, Les Cartwright. You know, these are fantastic footballers. Graham Whittle, take a shot from anywhere. Absolutely phenomenal players. You've got to put Foxy in there as well. Steve Fox, God bless him. Fantastic player. I know he came a little later, but when I did the interview with Kings, you know, this was before everything else. We were saying how sad it was that the whole generation had seen nothing but dirge.
Yeah.
Downtrodden. I was fortunate. I was there for the European nights in the Cup Winners' Cup playing Anderlecht.
You could do them back in a way, yeah.
You know, fantastic. All right, you might not have won them, but the occasion was fantastic.
Yeah. For a club like Wrexham, and certainly those teams to play in Europe for Wrexham, it's a massive occasion. You don't want to be second best, but you accept your place and you just you just appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, there's a curveball question. What is the greater result, the win against Arsenal or the win away at Porto?
You see, with the I'm 40. I remember that one. I wasn't there, but I remember when it happened.
Yeah, you know, to me, they're equal.
The reaction.
You know, they're equal to me. But unfortunately, we didn't have that much around us at the time when we went and beat Porto, so it didn't get the, should we say, publicity it deserved. Whereas I think the only camera at Porto
away champions, weren't they? Wrexham were the bottom of Division 4 there.
See, that's on national television, match of the day. You know, first game on. You know, so that was the difference. It was how it was put out there. I think the Porto game had been put out the same time on the same platforms as the Arsenal game. I do believe it would have been the Arsenal game would have been usurped a little bit. I think, you know, considering where Porto have gone now, and they were still a good side then, you know, but to go over there and get the win on the away goals rule, fantastic result.
What was your favourite game to be at, to work at?
I've got a few really. The Arsenal game, I've still got the scar on the back of my head, jumping up in the PA box and cloud to the back of my head on the roof. So still got the scar from that one. Going back to the ball boying days, we beat Rotherham. I think it was Rotherham 7-1. That's on YouTube. It's a fantastic. Some of the football. Oh, goodness gracious me. But I think if you're going to come forward, I think the Notts County game really. I think it was what was fastened to it. The atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. And the fact that we knew what we had to do. Then you got the hand of force, of course, which
Yeah.
I was.
I suppose I lost count. You knew then it was in our hands.
We needed a point out of that game,
Yeah.
but to get all of them, we knew then that's it. We've done it. The Boreham Wood game,
Boreham Wood as well.
Yeah, Boreham Wood. Of course, they had the dream start. Of course, first goal in 3-4 minutes, and I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Dav. I was working with. Just said, it's okay, it's fine, not a problem. We've got this. Going back to Boreham, Luke Gallard. If you ever get the chance to meet him and interview him, that man is an absolute legend and a gentleman.
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that. Yeah, someone else has met him that I know.
Yeah. He is one of the most pleasant people you will ever meet. No airs, no graces. He'll happily discuss anything with you. In fact, he was doing a Sky Sports interview that night, and he just sort of gesticulated, hang on. Finished his interview. Said, right, come on, let's have a word. Yeah, how many managers do that? Not many. We'd spoken.
Manager to be which manager impressed you the most in terms of? We have a couple of ways we look at this: their personality, their people skills behind the scenes.
I think Phil's got to be up there with that one. Lovely chap. Will always speak to you. I had a message from somebody within the club that he wasn't very happy the fact that I'd gone in the way that I'd gone, wanted to know what was going on. But unfortunately, the person he asked couldn't say anything, so he wasn't happy. Dean Keats, I got on absolutely brilliantly with. Again, was he treated fairly? Possibly not. Gave everything for the club. Came on with a broken collarbone, for goodness sake.
He was gone the next day, wasn't he? He was gone the day after Dagenham on the Sunday or the next day.
How can you prepare to go into a game away? 99% certain you're going to be sacked. It's Dennis, as I said, Dennis was a gent. Didn't have a great deal to do with Sam Ricketts. They always speak, we say hello and how are you, but never in-depth conversation. Alvin, I think I was a bit too green behind the girl, a bit too young to be spoken to by the likes of Alvin Griffiths then. I was only 16, 17. So you were seeing enough.
Flynn, little wonder.
Oh, I've got a world of time for Flinny. I saw him in the My Square a few months ago. Always comes out, how are you? Everything okay? Sorry, it didn't. Wonderful man. And speak to his squad.
Is he welcomed back? Is he treated the way he should be treated?
From what I believe,
he a shift for that club, isn't he? He'd give everything. What's a guy growing up in the 90s? He was the manager, obviously, and.
He does he is treated with the respect he deserves, apparently, and rightly so. I don't know whether Dean's been back since. I used to see Andy Davis now and again. He used to sit by me. Again, he didn't get the fair cut of the fair cut, really.
I think back to what we were talking about, they perhaps wanted to put their own mark on the situation. They've just bought the club. Not getting promoted is obviously a setback. Would it have ever really happened? Well, not reaching the playoffs at all.
No.
Would promotion have happened? No. So it was never really going to get promoted that season with Keats. Did he deserve one more crack?
I think so. Thing is with Dean, he was very good at the motivational stuff. He knew he couldn't attract the big players, but the players he did attract, he got a tune out of most of the time. They all bought into what he was trying to do.
I think, he never quite recovered from leaving the first time, did he? I don't think, in a lot of people's eyes.
Well, it's like the second album syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
I fully understand him in leaving your boy town club and stood on the terrace and played for them. They come calling. It's a hard one to turn down. I fully understand that. There's also many in football say you don't go back. be that as a player, as a manager, or whatever. So
Well, we see
he
that a
did,
lot, don't we?
yeah. He did okay. Again, it was fine margins.
Was there
during
any
that.
talk of Mark Hughes coming to the club? For some reason, I've always fancied Mark Hughes having a go.
Well, I was told years and years and years ago. We're talking in the Price Griffiths era. I don't know how true it was. I was told Mark had applied for it, but he was told he was not being considered because he only wanted it for himself. Well, I don't believe that for a minute. I don't know whether it's true or not. That's just what I was told. But no, we don't want. The way it was told to me, we don't want to put you in place because it would be too much about yourself rather than the club. Well, I don't get that.
No.
Even then, it was raising your profile. That was the thing. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. Would he have done a good job? Who knows?
Yeah, it would have been nice. I don't think that'll happen now. He's not. He was never the greatest manager. He had some moments, but he's never been a great success. And the club has moved on from that type of appointment now, I think.
Yeah. Well, you've only got to look at Rooney now. Fantastic footballer, but he can't manage. He can't manage. Yeah. He's not the only one. There are others as well.
Yeah. I think we're seeing now a lottery. A lot of these players, these ex-players who've recently retired, they're not really doing well. The guy Neville had a go, didn't he? And Lampard's, apart from a few moments, hasn't been brilliant. Gerrard's struggling now. He should never left Rangers.
Well, let's be honest. The money they've got where Stevie G is now and the players he can bring in, if you can't get a tune out of that lot, you may as well pack it in. He's got the pick of anybody in world football, and he still can't get a tune out of them. Well, time to give it up, mate. Will he be every Liverpool manager? No, not for me. I'm a Liverpool man, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah. And saying that, how about Joey Jones? How do you get on with him?
I haven't got enough words to describe Joey Jones. Everybody who's ever met him will tell you exactly the same thing. I cannot say anything that's not been said. He was treated shabbily at one point when he was sacked. I was absolutely fuming over that one. How you could treat somebody like that, who's given his life and more to the club, and they go and sack him. Unfortunately, we all know he's not a well man. What that is, I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. I did see him knocking around with Mickey quite a few times, and I hope he gets treated with the respect he should have and fully deserved. But he's an enigma. He's Joey Jones.
Are they recognised at the club? Is there anything there named after them? Are there any statues, any images, any plaques, anything?
There's nothing that there are some shirts on a couple of corridors, but I was going what I said before about history. I might be right, I might be wrong. I'll be the first to be corrected if I'm wrong. But the contents of the trophy cabinet have gone. The only things in the trophy cabinet now are the Vanarama trophy and the women's, I think it's the Adran League trophy, whatever it is. Those are the only two bits of silverware.
They've gone since the takeover.
I don't know whether
we're getting away with that now.
Yeah, it's like the history's been wiped. I don't know whether they put up anywhere else.
I can't believe that'll be allowed to happen, to be honest with you.
I don't know whether it's been put away.
Like you who could step up.
Well,
go on, Steve.
I saw it. There's a mate of mine whose son went on the tour and he had a photo taken in front of the trophy cabinet. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. My profile picture on Twitter is me holding the FA Cup, and you can see the trophy cabinet's full. And to go to that, well, I'm sorry, like I said before about not wanting history, there's stuff in there memorabilia from Porto and all the fantastic things. If they've been gone and put up somewhere else, I'll be the first to hold my hands up and say, look, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. But what I'm told, and again, I'm not being quoted on this directly, all that stuff has been put away. That cannot be right.
Let's hope it hasn't. Let's hope it's been put somewhere else where it can be celebrated, because these are so important. These achievements are so important for Wrexham, as we talked about, our iconic moments in a relatively small club.
Yeah,
and these, there's so much value sentimentally and emotionally.
Yeah. Plus, if you're showing a potential player around, you go to your trophy cabinet and say, look, that's when we played Porto, that's when we played Anderlecht. These are the sort of games we want to get back, and well, you can show potential players as a Vanarama League trophy in your trophy cabinet.
Yeah, you want to see the history, you want to see what you're joining and what's happened over the decades.
Well, you know the line as well as I do. History only tells the story.
Yes, yeah. And we should have more. We should have more outside the ground, I think. Many other clubs have statues to these great people who've done so much for the club. John Mills. I know we've got the buildings around the flats named after, but we should have statues. We should have images. We should have monuments celebrating these iconic and important players, managers, staff.
Well, Joey especially.
Speaking of staff members, I'm from Scotland, and I'll tell you who lives down the road, Joey Evans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been there a few years, hasn't he?
Oh, my God, he's been there more years than me, I think.
Fire steward, good lad, Joey. Like I said, he's from Scotland. I know his children, I know his son quite well.
Yeah, well, Joe, I'm just trying to put a bit of a handle on it now. I would say Joe's been 74, 5, 6-ish, maybe.
Okay.
I might be a bit out, but yeah, I think the world of Joe. I really do.
Have there many been there as long as him now?
I'm not sure, There's one of the other fire stewards, Trev's been there 1,000 years, I think. I'm not sure about Dave Bithell, the former mayor. I think he's been there a few years. But I think really, I think that's about it. They're very few and far between.
And has he been recognised at all? I mean, will he be recognised? Did you get recognised at all before the takeover?
No.
I suppose that's not why you do it, but it's nice to be, recognised for your service. And
well, the Boreham Wood game, Boreham Wood game I mentioned before, that was the end of my 50th season.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to retire now. That's it, 50 years and out. But then my eldest daughter said to me, well, hang on a minute, do you think they'll look after you? Will you have a season ticket or something? I very much doubt it, so I carried on. Now, as you said there, you don't do it for plaudits, you don't do it for stuff. And, but 50 years at a club is a long time.
Yeah.
And to be, thank you very much, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then I got sent a link by somebody, the announcer at Macclesfield. 20 years with the club, and here's an award for you. So I think you're trying to wind me up here, mate. But,
Yeah. Like you said, it's nice that people reach out and sort of recognise the staff that's contributed so much. But like I said, we're not even seeing it with certain players who are complete legends. Well,
the shirt I'm wearing now was my late father's, presented to him by the club on his 70th birthday.
Yeah. Okay, so
all signed by the squad at the time. Yeah. Does it happen now? No. Nothing.
Okay. Hopefully they can start doing more stuff like that, I think, because they promised so much.
To be honest, I don't think the interest is there.
I'm sure the fans won't be happy about this. I'm sure the fans would want to sort of get involved, and maybe they can do something. There's enough of us out there now. There's enough interest. Surely there must be something they can do. Do you have any awards or a party or a staff end of season celebration or something? Nothing like that?
Nothing at all. The last player of the season deal I went to, It was some years ago now. To give you some idea, Stephen Wright was still on the coaching squad. And Dougie Tarn was a youth player coming through. And I said, I'll go. You still have to pay for your ticket to go. One of those things.
So this takeover happened just after COVID, during COVID, 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
What was the club in a very bad situation then? And obviously COVID was causing a lot of problems, difficult situation globally. How was the atmosphere at the club? What was the environment like?
Oh, it was bizarre. It's very strange announcing to an empty stadium. But
was there any concern about the future of the club?
I think there was always contingencies. I think with every business was the same. Not just in football, but in business as well. There had to be the knowledge it wasn't going to go on forever. It was just how long you can sustain it without the cash income. Fortunately, the streaming started. All right, it's basically putting a finger in a hole of a dike, but it was some money coming in. But it was an eerie place to be. You're going in under the temperature, everything else. You're walking through on your own through the scent and round, and everywhere you go, you're on your own. It's a one way. Everything's one way. And you're up in your room. I was up in the music room. That's it. You stayed there. You didn't come out. Sanitized before you went in. Sanitized when you come out. And it was a very strange place to be.
I can imagine, yeah, and it's like difficult for everybody at the time.
Oh yeah.
Strange world, doesn't it? It doesn't seem. It seems like a dream. Suddenly we got back to normal quite quickly, all things considered.
It had to really. Not just on a football, as a country, we had to get back up and running pretty damn quick. I know where I work, that was the same. Everywhere was a one way.
Yes, yeah.
You can't do this, you can't do that, and in the end, they laid us all off. But, that's another story for another day. But I'm fortunate. I went back to work there again, and everybody I was speaking to, if you got everybody in the corridors of the mighty in one place and shook them hard enough, they all turned around and said, "We should never have let you lot go." There's 550 of us all got made redundant at the same time. But we've all come back, we've all recovered, and we're away.
That's what happens, doesn't it? Sometimes you've got to have that positivity and that belief that, like you now, it's opened up more opportunities. You've got the YouTube channel, which is called
Irgard Wrexham.
Yeah, so please check out Steve's channel, where he's going to be bringing lots of information. We're touching on very little here. I'm sure there's so much he can talk about, and he'll be revealing that over the weeks and giving his opinion on games and reacting to stories. So check out Steve's channel. Where did that phrase come from? How did you start it off?
It wasn't that. It's not actually mine. My erstwhile man before me, Steve Marriott, actually started using one or two Welsh phrases, and he used it. It's a bit strange with a Brummie accent. No disrespect to Steve, I think there will have been, but hey, what's all that about, Steve? Apparently it literally means into the battle. Yeah, okay, fine, fair enough. So when Steve decided to step down, I thought, I'm going to have a go at that. I'm going to sort of make it my own. So there we are. And about 2 years before I left, I was in conversation with my wife or in work. I said, you know what? I'm going to copyright that. I want to make that my own. And I started the process, but never saw it through. So, because when, I was always asked to sign stuff, birthday cards, and I was Steve Jones, Irgard Wrexham. I was on everything. So, right, okay, now's the time to do it. So, the process I was looked at before to the process now, it's been slimmed down and made so much easier. So I thought, right, I'm going to go for it. Ummed and ahed a bit. What am I going to call it? Somebody said, make it the voice of the racecourse. No, that was my dad's tag. So I thought, oh no, here go Wrexham. So strangely, I put it all online and made a right mess of it. So in the end, I rang the guy up, and he's in Newport. He's only a purple jumper fan, Newport County fan. Oh,
Okay.
so you can imagine some of the conversations we've had. She said, look, if you do this, bang, done. Pay the man the money, and it's done. It was on a register for 2 months. If anybody wanted to object,
Yeah,
nobody
I did the protest for Welsh Beast. Yeah, I did it for Welsh Beast many years ago. And
so nobody protested.
How many categories have you covered?
I've just covered the one.
Just the broadcasting, is it?
Yeah, just the one for now. I can add to it should I want to, as you know, if you've done the process.
Yeah.
But that was that.
And there was no challenges, no issues.
Not a one. But like the guy I was speaking to in Newport said, if you don't know it's there, how do you know to look for it? So 96% of those applications that go in get through. There's only 4% challenged. So
okay, great stuff.
That was where it came from. Has it been a popular decision within certain members of the club? Possibly not.
No, but I don't think was that a bit of thinking behind it as well? You said you wanted to do it a couple of years ago, but I'm sure now, was it a case of you just fighting back a bit and saying oppose?
That's mine. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's mine. You're not having it. The reason I was dismissed, I never denied. Was I treated fairly? No. Was I treated wrongly? Yes. So bit of bite back.
And that's the main concern. Is again, I don't want to go too much in this, but do you think? So you said you did what you were accused of, but it wasn't handled properly. Was it a dismissible offence in the end? Do you think?
Everybody I've spoken to said, "You're joking, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Is that it? That's the common one. Is that it? Yeah. All will be told.
Okay, yes, I look forward to it, and don't hold back. It's your side of the story.
Yeah.
I'm sure. You have your right to speak up eventually, and hopefully there won't be too many problems for you.
Well, I only ever speak the truth. Some say the truth hurts, but
that's the matter, is it?
No, liars always get caught out in the end.
Yeah.
I will never give an untruth. So
I just went back to the takeover. Yeah. Let's hope. Yeah, let's just hopefully everything works out for you. And like I said, don't hold back. Hopefully the club will understand you're entitled to speak, and they won't be too nasty in any responses. We don't want you banned from the ground. That's what they could do. I don't know how serious things are, but we're hoping it doesn't go down that road, because that would be over the top, I think.
Well, would it be another PR thing gone wrong? Who knows?
You think so? You think so? Because again, I know a lot of people disappointed with you leaving the role. But going back to the takeover, what was the feeling around it when word started to get out? There was some interest from various people. It was very kept secret, wasn't it, for a while?
Well,
but did it start to filter out for you guys?
Again, as we said before, it was done properly. There was absolutely no clue who these two people were. Anybody who asked me, said, who's these two going to take over? To Gavin and Stacey, or Hale and Pace.
Yeah. I've actually been watching them lately, to be fair. Funny you should say that. I've been watching them again. I think they're very good.
Oh, yeah. But I didn't have a Scooby-Doo. With all due respect to the two guys, I wouldn't have had a clue who they were anyway.
Yeah. I think most people knew Ryan Reynolds, really. Rob McElhenney is not as famous in this side of the country, this side of the world.
Yeah, so, I had an idea with Ryan, but actually, Rob's the only one I've ever been introduced to. Would you believe?
Really? Yeah. He seems to be the one who's more passionate about the sport. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Lovely fella. Really is. So warm. In fact, it was the last game I ever did.
Okay. Which was?
Gillingham.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. Going back to your job, you have a lot of responsibility in days like that when you're commemorating, occasions such as Gresford, Armistice Day, tragedies.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you are the voice of the club for that, and I always took that extremely seriously. Always treated it with the respect it deserved. Well, I hope it did anyway. Yeah, Gillingham game, we came in early, an hour early. We met the military guys and girls in the centenary, went through everything they wanted to do. The military actually sent the wrong paperwork, so I had to go and rewrite it all again. Then went out, run through it, fine, not a problem. Come to pitch time, they set off early because the two guys in the planes we've got no contact with, so their flying time was that. The window is that big. They came out a minute early onto the pitch to do the pre-stuff. Okay, so they came across from the macro onto the middle. In the middle, the idea was they come over to the lager stand turn, touchline about turn, pick up the two managers with reeds and go back to the middle. So over they come. Have the nod off the guy from Valley about turn. I look round to see Phil, and he's standing there. Where's your wreath, Phil? What wreath? So they hadn't given the managers the wreath. It's okay. So anyway, off they went back to the middle. So I've got to now fill this. It's nearly a minute that we're ahead of schedule, if you like. Looking at the watch, thinking these planes ain't coming for another minute at least. And I've got 4 lines I've got to try and drag out for a minute. It's the hardest. They shall not grow old as we are left grow old. Pause. Age shall not weary them, and the years condemn. And all of a sudden, I could just hear them coming. Going down to the sun, and in the morning, whoosh. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that takes a lot of composure and a lot of experience, I think, to deal with, because you've probably experienced a lot of moments like that where it wasn't quite going your way, and you had to sort of think quickly and adapt.
Yeah, I was proud of that one. I don't blow my own trumpet very often, but I got that one pretty right, I think.
Which games, as a fan, which games, and I say as a fan when you were working at the club and not just before you started the job, but generally, put your fans' head on, which matches upset you, which hurt you?
Crystal Palace, 1976-7.
Okay.
We needed a point to go up, and they battered us.
Yeah.
Oh, broke my heart, that did.
But it all came good the next year, didn't it?
All came good the next. Mind you got Eastleigh as well.
Yes.
When the goalkeeper went down like he'd been shot with a tank and nowhere anywhere near him. I could go back again. Hereford, we played them in the league. The infamous Gurnham Singh, the referee, running around with a big hanky in his hand, running out of his nose. We're behind. Their striker, he's going in towards the tech end, gets to the penalty box, down he goes. Gurnham gives the penalty. Nobody's anywhere near him. He gives it anyway. And the line-out's flagging like mad. And he went, no, make penalty. You think, really?
When relegation happened from the Football League, what was the feeling at the club? Was it a case of, well, we can bounce back, we're bigger than this, or was it a case of this is going to be trouble?
I thought personally that, okay, well, we're all devastated. We all, good grief, we all were. I thought, maybe not the first season, the second one, happy days, And come the first home game in the National League, or whatever it was called then, Stevenage, and we threw 5 up them. This is going to be easy, this is. How wrong was I and everybody else? 15 years we ended up in there.
Well, as we said, a few close calls, almost, but the fact there was only 2 promotional spots.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, that would have been promoted long before.
Oh, good.
There were no spots available, obviously, because they finished
the 101
so high.
The 101 point season we'd have gone up.
That was some season there.
Oh, scoring goals.
Sometimes it just went against us, didn't it? It was almost there.
Well, Fleetwood come in and ripped our spine apart.
Uh,
And that was the end of that one.
But now we're Wrexham back. It's hard saying this because no one has a right to be anywhere. But I mean, we look at the 90s. When I was growing up in the 90s, wasn't massively successful. Some good cup runs, Welsh Cup and FA Cup moments. Not just Arsenal, but West Ham later on and Birmingham. The run to the quarterfinals. But there were a solid football league club then. They were established. That's where we need to be. Do you think? Is that good enough, or is the Premier League close enough now to go for it?
No, we are nowhere near big enough.
Yeah.
To me, and again, it's purely my opinion, I'd be more than happy to sit in here for a couple of years yet. Infrastructure-wise, we are nowhere near. You've seen the parking issues around the town, city.
Yeah.
That needs sorting out. There's so much more that we've got to do before we go. There's a massive, massive gap between League One and the Championship. We're nowhere near it yet.
Perhaps in terms of infrastructure, but player-wise, the squad.
Player-wise, we're not far away.
When you looked at Ipswich 2 years ago, we're in League One.
Not exactly.
What Brentford have done, Luton, so on and so on.
Yeah. Portman Road, it's in a big area with space around it, but the infrastructure's there from the old Division 1 days. Had the flats not been there, we could, there are things we could have done. But now I'm happy to sit for another maybe season.
I think that's what we all wanted, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'll be there if they go up again, I'll be celebrating that. There's no tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. But it wouldn't sit easy with me. I don't think we'd cope too well in the Championship, to be honest. There's too many former Premier League teams in there now.
But you have a look where we're above now. We're above Bolton, Charlton, Barnsley.
Yeah.
You look at these established league clubs. Many of them been in the Premiership in recent memory.
Yeah.
Premier League. Well, I mean, it's fascinating how this journey has just become so successful and it's been non-stop. I think that's what people want, or they see that this is the chance now. Why stop now? Go for it. You can stay where you are in 5 years if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I'm not saying we shouldn't go for it. If it's there, go for it. But
that means investment, more investment.
A lot of investment.
Great risk.
Yeah. And of course, all investment brings risk, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We touched on Stevie Gerrard in Saudi. The millions he's had thrown at him, it doesn't always work. We could bring in 6 new players and go backwards.
Well, the talk seems to be of a striker. I'm disappointed we can't get more out of who we got. But the striker is what everyone wants in January now.
January for me, and it's only my belief, you don't get decent players available in January. The players available in January are there for a reason. They're either injury prone, or they're falling out of favour, or they're not scoring, or whatever. The quality's not always there. There are players to be had in January, but not the be all and end all, really. We've got a young man in the academy. Bring him on. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. He's scoring goals for fun.
Okay.
It will come to me in a minute.
Maybe that's who we need then.
Well, you've got the 2 other lads as well.
And so I'm spending serious money on established, but maybe you need someone who's just young and fresh to add a bit more, because you think Palmer, Mullin, Marriott, Fletcher, the experience and qualities there. Maybe you need to try a different approach. Why spend money when someone might be there?
Yeah.
Something.
You got your 2 lads there who are on the verge now, Aaron James and Harry Ashfield. I think they've got tremendous futures. I really do. I'm not saying I'm the greatest pundit in the world, but you can see talent that's in there. This guy's he's another level below, apparently. But apparently his goal scoring record is phenomenal. So let's nurture him
talk of
through.
Dolby, keep him where he is, I say. It's better for him, I think.
If Sam Dolby is happy in Scotland,
yeah.
and if Sam Dolby scoring goals in Scotland, there's only one place for Sam Dolby to be, Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, I used to like Sam as a player when he played for us. He always give you 100%. Maybe not the best player in the world, but he's fallen into a groove there now, and he'd be very silly to.
Different league, but this is what he promised, though, didn't he? He looked like he could do this, and he had brief moments.
Well, look at the goals at Coventry.
Yeah.
You know, you can see there was a player in there. Yeah. Was it confidence? I don't know. The run he's on at the minute in Scotland, I would look. So you carry on. You do what you do, and he's got Louis with him as well.
Yes. What about bringing him back? Can he do it for another season or so?
No,
6 months.
Phenomenal player, gentleman. But 2 big knee operations, I think. No, I think he's unfortunately he was a phenomenal goal scorer, Louis. Yeah.
I've had some good ones over the years. Trundles, Moret. I mean, you look back at some of the talent there, the goal scorers.
Oh, Trons could score from anywhere.
Yeah.
We've been blessed in a lot of positions, really. We've always had decent goalkeepers. You know, Dye, Brian, Eddie.
Who would you prefer, Dye or Foster? Who would you have your all-time greats?
I think Fozzie.
Yeah.
I like Arthur, but for me, he's not vocal enough. I remember a 21-year-old Ben Foster playing one of his first games for Wrexham on the racecourse. He had Brian Carey and Tony Humes in front of him, 2 very experienced centre halves, and you should have heard some of the things Fozzie was calling them. When I tell you to go there,
overall, he stood his ground. He was
21 years old, and he said,
"He should be. He should be commanding."
Yeah.
That area
when I tell you there, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, these are 2 seasoned pros, international in Brian Carey's case. Oh, he's sending them down the banks, which is the way it should be. I think Arthur's a good keeper, good stopper. Doesn't command his box enough. I think it's the modern way. They don't come for crosses much these days.
So you'd say Foster is probably our best keeper?
I think so, personally.
Yeah.
It's close. Really is close. Andy Marriott was another fantastic keeper.
Yeah. Dibble. Both Dibble there?
Both. Well, Andy, I think, was the better keeper than Chris.
Yeah.
I think Chris suffered with confidence. He could go from being hero to zero in minimal time, really. Mayabi was just.
Well, he was in goal against Dover, wasn't he? If I remember rightly, was it?
Yeah. You know, Josh Mayabi was another one. He could make a world-class save and then he'd go through his legs. But I think the worst keeper we ever had, and I think I'll be pretty well backed up on this one, was Xavi Valero.
Yeah.
Hooked after 45 minutes. He was atrocious. And ended up at Liverpool as a goalkeeping coach. I think he's at Chelsea now.
Bloody hell. So that explains it then. Going back to strikers, what about when Ian Rush came?
Sorry?
Going back to strikers, what about when Ian Rush signed?
I'm
sure that was exciting at the time. Didn't quite deliver.
Exciting at the time, but
why didn't he work out for him in terms of goals?
There was nobody good enough to feed him.
Right.
If you think about it, most of Rush's goals were the ball played either on the shoulder or above the shoulder or pushed to, fed with precision by either Kenny Dalglish or Jan Molby or any one of the above. We didn't have anybody who could feed him properly. He was feeding off scraps, really. I think the closest he came was at the tack end when he dragged it across the far stick and only missed by a couple of inches. It was a shame. I'd like to see him be a bit more of a success, but you could see in his movement, and he was levels above what we had.
Yeah.
No,
So you're
nobody
thinking
could.
surely there should have been more goals. There should have been goals. A goal.
Yeah, nobody could read his runs.
Yeah.
You see it with Fletch occasionally.
Yeah.
He'll put a touch in and it looks shambolic because nobody's read it. Well, he knows where you
Too
should
good,
be.
really. He was too good, but
Yeah,
that was the problem.
yeah.
They
He
couldn't have
knows.
that link up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knows where you should be. But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
You don't.
they're not on his level, so they haven't read where he wants them
Yeah.
to be. It's I'd love to have had Fletch 5 years ago. Oh my God, what a player he is! Oh,
You can see
phenomenal.
he's doing so well at the moment, isn't he? Which he's going down as a cult hero with these goals.
Well, I'll even forgive the fact he was born in Shrewsbury.
You can't hold that against him, not when he's scoring us late winners.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just before you go, I just want to touch on. I just see Kevin Russell around a lot around the area. He lives quite locally on Bryn Offa, or he used to. What was Brewster Russell like?
He was so sharp, he'd cut himself. He's again. He was a fantastic player. He was very good at chasing down. When the keeper's playing the ball off the floor, he scored a couple off his backside at the tack end, if I remember rightly. You could see the way he when he was on the bench or whatever, you could see him working things out, and the way you could see he was going to be a good coach, and it proved that. His coaching side is phenomenal. Good luck to him. I think he's got a good career. Is he going to be a manager? Possibly not. He's one of those destined to be a good number 2, I think, but a very good one.
And Stevie Walker, he did a presentation when I was a kid in Berkshire region, so I remember that one.
I did my first pitch side interview with Walker. I'd never ever done one before. Didn't have a clue what he was doing. So I spoke to him in the tunnel beforehand. Look, Steve, I've never done this before. Help us out, will you? Yeah, not a problem. And it went like a dream. He was brilliant.
Has he walked away from football? Is he involved at all anymore?
I think his lad's playing at a level somewhere. Somebody told me. I'm not sure where. Is he at Wrexham? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one. I'm not sure. But
it's worth looking into, because I'm not. Does he get involved as much? Do you see him around the club, around the area?
To be fair, since Nick's left his role upstairs in the Bamfords, the PFA, the former Players Association, FPA, I'm not sure whether the former players do much these days. I'm saying not being allowed up there. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
So I don't know what if anything, they do. The former players now.
Okay, again, it's a shame. Hopefully something can be done about that, and we can get celebrating our history, our past, and treat people with respect. Before you go, Steve, thank you for doing this. What's the prediction for the season?
I'll be happy to go into the playoffs, and we'll go from there.
Dangerous ground for us, you know that.
It is for us. We don't do playoffs, do we?
Yeah. But without being defeatist, it's been a remarkable journey so far, and this is amazing to see what's happened. I think people just want the final push, keep going, but you cannot be too unhappy with where we are, even missing out.
No. I'm seeing it more now. If things aren't going well, the racecourse is turning back to a library again.
Yeah.
I've said it on a couple of the videos I've done. Come on, guys, this is not what the racecourse is about. We need the 12th man. But at times it's just like a library. Come on, you heard the lineup for Often Enough. Back the boys and make some noise. I couldn't copyright that one. It's not mine, that one. I can't pinch that one.
But the attendance is now clearing 13,000. How big could that stadium be? What's realistic?
I wouldn't go much more than 20 to 25, which isn't difficult, really. Fill the corners in for one. You've got the tech end to the lager stand corner. You can fill that in, and the proposed cop to the lager stand. The problem might be the shape of the roof on the Macron stand. I'm no architect, I don't know, but for me, it was the wrong design in the very beginning. It wasn't a stand.
Chesterfield, isn't it?
Yeah, it was never a stand built to make money. It was there to stand, the club needed a structure at the time to raise money. It just wasn't set up for it. And no doubt somebody could draw up something whereby the two ends of the roof could come up and it all be square and happy, and I don't know, but 25, I think.
Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah. What about how much work does the tech end need on the main stand? Is that due a refurbishment? We've got those old seats which I love, those coloured. You know what I mean, with those different coloured seats.
I think they're all red now, aren't they?
There's some blue in there.
I'll be corrected, but I've been up there the last few, and all I've seen is a sea of red. I don't know.
That's all I can remember anyway. Maybe it's me, but I still look at that stand. Is it fit for sort of expanding, or will it need to be some real work done?
No, downstairs needs a massive refurb. At the end of the day, it was built in 1973, and the whole process has changed since then, hasn't it? Now, I don't know the ins and outs, but apparently if and when this cop stand goes up, the offices are going in there. I don't know. There's a separate office for the CEO and all that in the corner of the car park, as we know. So obviously that's been deemed as trying to free up some space. I don't know which way the Wrexham stand could go with those abominations in the corner. See, if they weren't there, all you'd have to do is what Liverpool did at Anfield, where the Anfield Road end and the main stand is built behind and up. Well, with those flats in the corner, you can't do that. Could you do that at the tech end? Yeah, probably.
Well, that whole area is supposed to be refurbished and regenerated at some point. The funding was supposed to come as part of that, or some of the funding to include the top in that regeneration of the area.
Yeah, well, something I didn't know until last week. All that land now is on the corner of Crispin Lane and Mold Road is owned by Transport for Wales.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I thought that had been bought as a part of the COP development by the Welsh FA.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
but this COP has taken a long time, hasn't it? I think it needs to be properly set up.
When I left my current employer at COVID, I went working for a structural steel firm in Buckley. So I've had experience with putting how structural steel stuff works. I do not see that stand being ready for the under 19 Euros in 26.
Well, that's the pressure. Isn't that the commitment they've committed to get it?
That is they're saying that stand will be ready for that.
Yeah.
Well, having seen how structural steel things work, I'm if it does, fair play to them, but they're going to be working shifts to do it.
It's been a long process.
Yeah, the frame will go up in no time at all. But it's once the frame is up and everything else goes into it, that's when that's what takes the time. It'll be a phenomenal thing when it's done. But I just don't see it being done in the time frame. Things should be moving that way now for me.
You think they hope to get it done, but now there's been lots of problems with the environment and stuff like that. Is that all sorted now? Is funding there?
Well, as far as I'm led to believe, yeah. There's a little bit of
new architects coming in, there did a new design, I believe.
Yeah, the ones that did the Spurs Stadium apparently. I think there's a final bit of buy-off from the WST. I think a bit of paperwork to do, but obviously that four-wall stand's got to come down. All that concrete's got to come up, a new pad come down. If it's a new design, it's complete. I just can't see it being done for 06. I don't know when the Euro Championship is. It's normally the beginning part of the year. I just at the times that's left, I just don't see it.
Yeah. Will that have an impact on anything to do with the club hosting and?
I don't know the ins and outs, Carl. I'll be honest. So the information stream's dried up now.
Okay, yeah, but it needs to be sorted because it's dragging on, isn't it? To see it the way it was left to kind of rot was not nice to see, was there? I know there was a safety issue, wasn't it? That just closed it down.
Basically, the barriers had rotted.
Yeah.
Every 5 years, I think, you have to do like a pressure test on them. So you like putting the portafile between the barrier and the concrete and jacket, or either the barrier was failing or the concrete was breaking up, or there was that. The facilities on the back were just 1950s and just environmentally unsafe, shall we say. And they didn't have the money to do that. So they had no choice but to close it.
Yeah, it took a hell of a long time. Obviously, it needed investment. It wasn't perhaps a priority when you're not getting capacity crowds and there's lots more stuff to worry about.
No, there's no point wasting money on that when you're only getting 5,000 through the turnstiles at the time. There's a financial millstone they didn't need.
Yeah. But obviously now the ambitions are much greater.
Yeah, it will come. I'm sure it will, but it's just a case of when it will.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a slog. Okay, thank you, Steve. So you say playoffs?
Yeah.
I think they guaranteed the playoffs. And what do you reckon? Just enjoy it?
Go with the ride.
And Liverpool, are they going to win the league?
Hart said yes, but I'm not sure. I think there's a bit more wobbling to come yet.
We'll see.
I watched the game yesterday. Some very pleasing performances by some of the younger lads. Tyler Morton, he sort of stood out. It was Endo, played well in the middle, at the back there. Not saying it was comfortable. They were made to work hard. Nunez, I think I'd cut the losses.
I quite liked him, to be fair. I thought he had so much to offer.
He did in the beginning.
Game right.
In the beginning, he did, but he missed one yesterday. I think, he had all the time in the world, took a touch and ballooned it. But you're on about Liverpool. There's a young man with Wrexham connections. He's on loan at Stoke at the moment. He's one to watch.
Yeah.
Lewis Kumas.
Okay, sorry.
Lewis Kumas.
Okay.
Jason Kumas is relative. I'm not sure in which way, but
okay, we'll look into that.
He's doing quite well at Stoke.
You see, that's if Wrexham had pulled their finger out at Harrogate, that's who they could have been playing when you look at Salford and playing Man City. That's why I was disappointed with the performance of Harrogate, and they could have done so much more.
Well,
that was lazy shift them.
Oh, that was so flat; it was untrue. I couldn't believe we played that badly at Harrogate. There was just the only desire came 10 minutes before the end. I think, oh shit, we're in trouble here.
Okay, well, wasn't meant to be, but flying in the league, looking fantastic. I think they've got a great chance of the top two. I mean, Birmingham, we play soon, a massive team, massive club. They're probably guaranteed to go up.
Well, to be honest, it's who comes behind them, I think.
Yeah, and I think we're the next best. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I think Wycombe are going to have a wobble.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
They've got every team has a wobble.
I can't believe they're there, but
they've got to have one.
They're looking very strong. Similar to what I saw on that first day. But
let's
they still
be
don't see how we're second. We're the next best, I think. We're the next best.
When they came to the racecourse, if they'd have had the shooting boots on, they'd have battered us. They missed 3 or 4 sitters. So you could see they were a good side then. But, there we go.
But as I said before to people, I'm impressed how we've adapted. We've never really been second best in many games. Even games we didn't win, we should have won. Very few games we've been second best.
Yeah. The only thing for me, the games they're a little bit one-dimensional for me at the moment. It's sort of backside, side hoof, backside, side hoof. We need to change it around a bit.
I think that's how he plays, though, and he's got his system, his setup. It's not pleasing to watch, but it's got results consistently now.
That's the thing. See, well, we're winning, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I said it while I was in place, and I said it a long time before and a long time after. If we put the ball on the floor, we can beat anybody. You know, it's a results-driven business.
It's a great shot, and I think they'll be up there. I think they can finish in the top 2.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we pan out.
Long way to go, but we've got the consistency. Everyone's going to drop points. There'll be silly games. There'll be silly draws, but overall, we're winning most of our games, I think.
Yeah,
and the number of points is very impressive.
Yeah, it's just the away form's got to improve, really.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you, Steve. All the best for your channel, and I really do appreciate you coming on. There's so much more we could talk about. Thank you for being honest and giving me your fair thoughts and your honest opinion. Cheers, Steve. Steve, thank you very much, and we'll do it again. Cheers, mate.
All the best.